Okay, yo, I am so far behind. And I will promise you that I am catching up. I do not necessarily have work next week. So I am going to catch up on everything. I don't even know I, which episode this is. So I'm just going to go for it. And I'm going to take notes on everything else. I am going to do all my videos. If not today, then let's just say in the next few days, I'm totally gonna do this for sure. I'm committing myself because I'm so far behind, y'all. Okay, this is Love and Marriage Huntsville. Um, Stormy's husband come. Oh, okay, yeah. So we're in. Wait, hold on. Um, yeah, I'm right. Okay, so I chuckled because Stormy's husband comes in talking about um that they come in late with the baby, and Marcel is and Maurice is commenting about the fact that uh Chris made Nell's plate, talking about how he never made his wife's plate. I don't think that that's something to brag about. Maybe it's just me. I think that that's pretty depressing to acknowledge that you never would help your wife. Okay, cool. That's what makes you feel good. Then um Maurice and Kimmy make comment. Okay, so then Maurice starts talking about how um somehow it switched to Maurice's comments, and Kimmy is trying to gloss over the fact that he regrets his comments. Maurice is saying that he regrets the comments. He doesn't regret it in the same sense. He regrets the embarrassment in saying this in an interview. He doesn't exactly mean that he regrets what he says and how he feels and how he needs to work on that. Um, Mel said, well, it doesn't matter. Do you feel it in your heart? That's what matters. And that's the nail on the head. You you believe this in your heart. That's the problem, right? Martell has on his old wedding band. And Nell's like, you think she wants you back? So Marcel shuts down the conversation and is like, look, we need to respect Mel's boundaries. And I thought, that's interesting. I do think that some people made comments, not some people, Bondi Blue made a comment about how Marcel always wants to respect Mel's boundaries, even though for the sake of Tisha. Like, Tisha is being disrespected consistently, and her boundaries are not being acknowledged. But who cares about your wife's boundaries? But you're going to respect Mel's, and you're doing this on purpose as a dig to Tisha. That's fair. So, um, Stormy and her husband leave, and they're like, well, you got to go leave to go pick up the babysitter from the airport. And they're like, oh, you can leave the baby here. And Stormy's husband, like, why? Marcel didn't even like to watch his own kids. Look, I say this all the time. Men do not babysit other people's kids. Rare. Um, because they want to watch they'll watch their kids, but you want to add additional kids, you better have a very good uh additional reasoning here. Um, Emergency. But anyway, it was funny. And Marcel takes this moment to bring up what Tisha's talking about, this pregnancy test. So he brings it up to the table. So Mel asks, like, oh, okay. So Mel's like, so Tisha, you want another baby? Tisha explains why she took a pregnancy test. Now, I have listened to this all week, so people have been going back and forth on this. And as a person who has had a couple of kids, and I've been pregnant more than 2 times, I've actually been pregnant 4. And I absolutely can understand where you will second guess like the first thing. And even as a person who I am currently on I haven't I don't I have the P. So the likelihood of me getting pregnant is very slim. And even still, if something feels off with me and it reminds me of having, because I instantly was able, especially after my first kid, I instantly was in tune with my body to where anything remotely felt off. I was like, okay, my mind first goes to, am I pregnant? So I understand why Tisha is doing this process of elimination by saying, let me take a pregnancy test. But here's the problem that I have with Tisha, and Marcel said it, is this. Do you feel that you had a husband that has the emotional intelligence to deal with you saying that I took a pregnancy test? And that's the dig. You should know that your husband has the emotional intelligence of a very small child. And thus, they are not, his response is not going to be like, oh, well, did you schedule a doctor's appointment to see if there's something else wrong? Because that's what she wants to hear you say. Instead, you're saying she's cheated on me because there's no reason why you would take a pregnancy test because I can't get you pregnant. When I am going to say, to be fair, um, the likelihood that he probably could have gotten you pregnant was probably closer to the time that he had his vasectomy. 4 years after the vasectomy, the likelihood that you were getting pregnant is like 0. But it's not completely 0 unless you're abstinent and y'all ain't doing anything. So, with that being said, um, a fourth of me. So we're trying to have this whole storyline where it's a possibility that because she took this pregnancy test, that she cheated. And in her mind is, you don't trust me. In his mind is, I don't trust you because you took a pregnancy test. So instead, what you wanted was, and here's the thing. I think that in a realistic world, you should be able to tell your partner everything that's going on. In reality, I don't know if you should when it comes to your body. I think that you should know your mate and tell them when you know that it's an appropriate amount of information to tell them. So when's an appropriate time to tell what kind of information should you tell them? If I was her, because I would not have told him that I had took a pregnancy test. I would have told him I went to the doctor and and I did some blood work. The doctor gave me a pregnancy test. You know why? Because that's what they do when they run tests on you. They automatically Doctors automatically start saying what it isn't. Okay, she's not pregnant. Okay, cool. She doesn't have an STD. Okay, cool. She doesn't have this. Okay, cool. You still feel this way? Okay. They need an ultrasound. Okay, cool. Run that out. This isn't it. So do we need to check? Do we need to do a cervix exam? Okay, let's do that. Okay, like this is what doctors do. But you're dealing with a person who is not intelligent enough to deal with a female's body and doesn't have the emotional intelligence at all. And so all he hears is pregnancy test equals you're cheating. And then you have Martell, who who's co-signing. Marceau is like, I believe in modern science. Mel's like, look, we know that she's not cheating on you. Dead that and moving on. And I do love when Mel did this dig. He trusts you as much as he trusts himself. And that was a dig to Tisha. Because what she's trying to explain to you is that he is jumping straight to saying that you cheated on him because that's what he would do to you. But Tisha doesn't want to believe in that. So Tisha wants to ignore that part. The women are all together. Tisha comments about Mel sunglasses and how she's like, Martell wearing sunglasses. This part of the conversation was useless. Mel's talking about being single. She keeps posing. Tisha's like, "Oh, you really in love with yourself?" Mel's like, "Look, I get paid for these postings. I have a relationship with my followers, and this is what I do." Mel talks about the fact that she did not have an orgasm. And they're like, you lying. Okay, here's the thing about this. Most, there is, there are study after study after study that talks about how most women do not have orgasms. And she's been with Martell since college. I I hate to say it, y'all. It makes perfect sense as to why she didn't have it. Why she may not have had an orgasm. He also doesn't appear to be the kind of man who cares about her pleasure. Very self-centered. She even made a comment about how I told y'all that I like to be talked dirty to. And Tisha's like, well, that's not something that will give you an orgasm. She's like, don't tell me exactly. Do not tell me what will make me come. That's real talk. Hear me, um, let me say, I am so disappointed in you. I really am. I know that you're trying to be rational, and I get that you're trying to save your marriage, because your marriage is looking really raggedy. And look, I will say this full disclosure. If I put my marriage on Front Street, I'm sure people would be like, Elizabeth, what's going on? This is most people's marriages, I believe. People will question, what are you doing? So I'm not disputing that fact. However, I am annoyed with how much Kimmy is willing to defend Maurice when for the sake of defending, for the sake of looking really, really foolish, right? So Kimmy defends Maurice. Clearly, Mel's like, look, Maurice feels that Maurice has puts a lot of importance on sex. Kimmy literally is defending this guy. Ma'am, he said to Carlos how much he needed sex, not want sex, needed sex. What he, that seems pretty important. Need, and then he gets into specifics when because Carlos was trying to give him an out by being like, need, you're saying need like water, food, and Maurice doubles down on that. Like, I know you listened to this because you ended up going on another you went on, oh gosh, what's that show? Um TGIF Friday. TGIF Friday. Yeah, with Funky Nyeva and Al and Claudia, and you double down on the fact that you needed it. Okay, so Kimmy explains how she did feel unprotected, and Mel's like, yeah, being protected is important. Welcome to my world. Well, she was never protected by Martell. And I know people even had a problem with that. And I think that I don't see how you can feel how you can, he didn't, when you're not, the bottom line is he was having a, a sexual relationship with someone unprotected. That is the quintessential of feeling unprotected. You got this chick pregnant once, she had an abortion. You got her pregnant twice in the midst of COVID. Yes, she's going to feel unprotected. Um, and so Mel's like, I was never protected. Uh, um, Tisha's like, well, did you ever talk to Martell about this? And Nell and Mel were like, yes, and he just doesn't care. Like when you're dealing with somebody who's egocentric, they don't care. And then Tisha begins to start talking about that's how she's been thinking about her marriage because how quick he was able to turn to not trust her. And Nell's like, well, do you really believe her? And Mel's like, you have to believe what he actually says because we as women ignore what our husbands say because we just don't want to believe that what they said is what they mean. And Tisha agrees with that. Martell and Marceau and Maurice and Chris are all talking and they're playing dominoes. And Martell's like, what grounds should she take a test? And so then therefore Martell is insinuating that Tisha is cheating. Marceau is like, you're making a jump assumption. She is really taking a pregnancy test because she felt that this is how she felt before based on her own experience. And so therefore she's taking a pregnancy test. That's what Maurice is saying, sorry. Marceau is like, look, I'm not going to ever know if she cheated or not because the test was negative. Okay, fine. Chris is like, I think we should just talk to Tisha, like be reasonable, trying to get her side. Chris is trying to be an adult. The rest of these people are trying to be children. Marceau and Tisha's like, Tisha and Marcel having this conversation there, Tisha begins to get really upset. And she ends up saying, you clearly don't trust me. I'm not going to sleep with you tonight. So she sleeps across the room. Maurice tries to diffuse this conversation and is trying to explain to her a different perspective. Marcel comes out, tries to get Maurice and Tisha to stop talking, and Maurice and Tisha's like, wait a second, this is our conversation. How are you gonna come in here and interrupt what we're talking about? I I don't like this storyline, but to each his own. Maurice at 2:30 in the morning, 30 in the morning, is moseying around and sees Martell with a woman he's never seen before. So this means that this cannot be the side chick. This needs to be another woman. Um, Marceau and Martell are still the next morning, Martell comes and is talking to Marceau. And the fact that Marceau is really going to Martell for advice is beyond me. I just cannot wrap my head around. I'm going to ask Martell for advice. There will be hell freezes over. Why would you ask a divorce? You know what's so funny about this is Marceau in past seasons when they were getting a divorce made a comment about why would I seek advice from somebody who's been in a divorce? Like, so now all of a sudden you seek counsel. So you want somebody to co-sign the fact that Tisha could possibly have cheated on you? I don't believe it. And I can't believe that you think that you believe this. Kimmy and Tisha, um, really think that this is really surprised that Marcel is really mad. And Kimmy is explaining to Tisha how men really can't get over cheating. Um, and the fact that Martell is really antagonizing Marcel is really amazing because it feels like you just really want your wife, you really want to not be just a single person. You want everybody else to get caught. Because I got caught and ended up in a divorce, I want everybody else to get caught and end up in a divorce. But, see how this goes. With that being said, I'm done. I'm gonna go watch the next episode and I probably won't come back tonight. Maybe I'll come back tomorrow. Bye.